All right, Algebra 2, welcome back to Module 3 and 4. This is video number 3. We're starting off here with problem number 12. This is a linear regression problem, so you're going to need your calculator. There is one like this on your final, so make sure you know how to do this. I'm going to read you the problem. It says, Ms. Perez's bakery showed increasing profits and then her profits began to decrease. The information is shown in the table. Which is the best quadratic model for this data? So what we want to do is we want to put this data into the calculator and have the calculator crank out. That's the good news. Calculator is going to do all the work, but you got to put the information in for it to work. All right, so we want to add lists and spreadsheets. So number 4, we're adding list and spreadsheet. We've got a list of numbers that we're going to put into a spreadsheet. When we do that, we've got to go up to the top of the first column, put in X, because these are going to be our X values. And then in column B, we're going to put in Y for Y values. You want to get fancy, you can label those months and dollars, but I'm just going to put X and Y. All right, so 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 are my X values. Going back up, my Y values are 2,500. Whoops, 3,100, 3,300, 3,000, and 2,400. All right, and what I want to do is I'm going to do what's called a regression on this, where the calculator takes these numbers and it finds the quadratic, in this case it's quadratic, the parabola that best fits this data. So we're going to go to Menu. We're going to go to 4 for statistics, 1 for stat calculations, and you guys learned linear regression back in Algebra 1, but this is quadratic regression, so 4, 1, 6 for quadratic. Where it says X list, you want to put X. Where it says Y list, you want to put Y. If it had asked us to find a linear model, then we would use the linear regression. We're using quadratic regression here because it says find a quadratic model. And then once we get that, then now we're going to hit Enter. And notice it gives us this A value, and B value, and C value. And so that goes into, it's not going to let me write on here. So we want to put it into this formula here, this formula here that he gave you. So we're going to plug that in. We get Y is equal to, what did it say for A? Negative 51.8. We're going to round it to negative 51.8 X squared. And then for B, it's 502.9 X, and our C value is 2,054.6. There we go. All right, it says use the graph feature to find the following. Between which 2 months does Ms. Perez maximize her profits? So what I'm going to do is come over here. I'm going to do control page. And this time I want to add a graph. I think that's what I wanted to do, but now I'm not so sure. Nope. Let's see, control page. It doesn't matter, we'll just add another page. Let's go to add data and statistics. There's those dots, sorry. So when you're going to add a page, you're going to go to data and statistics, and we're going to come down here to where it says click to add a variable. I can touch it, which is nice about that smartboard. You're going to have to use your mouse and scroll over and click down here where it says click to add a variable. We want the X on the X-axis. We want Y on the Y-axis. And then what I'm going to do is go back to menu, and I want to analyze this guy. Let's see if that's where. And I'm going to put regression in there, and I'm going to say show quadratic. So that quadratic equation they just gave us, I'm going to say show quadratic, and it's going to plop it right onto this graph for me. And once I have it on this graph, we can answer these other questions. It says, use your graph feature to find the following. Between what 2 months does Ms. Perez maximize her profits? So we can see from this graph that the maximum is happening somewhere between the 4th month and the 6th month. So I think it's right around the 5th month, it looks like, but somewhere between 4th and 6th. It really looks like it's 5, so I'm just going to say 4 and 6. So we're going to say month 4. Did they give us an actual month here? Did not. So month 4 and month 6. Again, it looks like right around month 5. And it says, what would the profit be in year 1? So we're going to use our calculator again. It looks like year 1, we're right around $2,500. So I'm going to say approximately $2,500. All right. Unit 2, Module 4. Here we go, Module 4. These are working with our i's. So remember, if you got the square root of -1, you can pull that out as an I. And then this would be like the square root of 25 times I. And the square root of 25 would be plus or minus 5i. It's actually really just positive 5i until you're solving it for something. So I'm just going to leave it straight as positive 5i. For 48, I'm going to pull out the I. The square root of 48, I'm going to say 4 times 12, and 12 is 4 times 3. So I can pull out the 4, leave the 3 on the inside, and then you got an I. Square root of -32, again, you can pull out that negative sign. And square root of 32 times I. 32 breaks down to 4 and 8. And 8 is 4 and 2. So this is 4 square root of 2 times I. Number 4. Now we're adding, or in this case we're subtracting these guys. So -3 minus a minus 5. So -3 minus a minus, this is -3 plus 5, which would be 2. And then I've got -6 minus 8i. So -6 minus 8 would be minus 14i. Number 5, adding 2 plus 5 is 7. -4 minus 3 is -7i. So notice we're adding the real part to the real part, the imaginary part to the imaginary part. So when you're adding and subtracting, you should have a real answer and then an imaginary answer. Same thing for when you're multiplying, but this time it gets a little bit more complicated. These are just like regular binomials that you would multiply like we did in Algebra 1 with x's, but now we've got i's in there, so it's a little trickier. Starting off, same mechanics. So -2 times 2, -4. -2 times -3i. Negative times negative is positive. 2 times 3 is 6 times I. 5 times 2, 5i times 2 would be 10i. And then 5 times -3 is -15. I times I is I squared. All right, I can combine like terms here. This is -4. 6i plus 10i is 16i. And then -15i squared. What is I squared? Well, we know I is the square root of -1. If I square this guy, it's this guy squared. What's the square root of -1 times the square root of -1? That's just -1. So this is really -15 times -1. So this is going to be -4 plus 16i. -15 times -1 is positive 15. And then I can combine like terms. 15 minus 4 is 11 plus 16i. Last one, 4 minus 2i. This is 4 minus 2i times 4 minus 2i. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times -2i is -8i. -2i times 4 is also -8i. -2i times -2i is positive 4i squared. All right, 16, -8 minus 8, -16i. And then 4i squared will become -4. 16 minus 4 is 12 minus 16i. All right, let's see if we can't eke out one more problem, maybe 2. If m and n are real numbers and m minus n minus 4i is equal to 6 plus ni, what is the value of the n? Well, if these guys are equal to each other, I know the real part has to be equal to the real part, and the imaginary part has to be equal to the imaginary part. All right, from this piece here, I know n has to be equal to -4. Plugging that back in here, we can find m. So m minus a minus 4 is equal to 6. So m plus 4 is 6, which means when we subtract the 4, m is 2. So they want to know the value of m. M is equal to 2. That wasn't too bad. Let me see if I can eke out one more. If m and n are real numbers, and 5m plus 2ni is equal to 10 plus 8i, find the value of m and n. Well, I know 5m has to be equal to 10, because that's the real part, and 2ni has to be equal to 8i. So 5 times what would give you 2? Sorry, 10, m is 2, and 2 times what would give you 8? N would be 4. All right, I'm going to stop the video right there, and we'll come back with part 4.